Welcome to your Cyber Tips Explainer, where we make everyday people understand the cyber world around us. We all have that daily routine. You wake up, you turn on the tap for a glass of water, maybe you check the mail for a package you've been waiting for. These things are just simple, reliable parts of our lives. They just work. But behind these simple acts, there's this huge interconnected web of what we call critical infrastructure. And right now, that infrastructure is on the front line of a hidden war.
So what if the water from that tap wasn't guaranteed to be safe anymore? What if the systems that deliver our most essential services could just be shut down with a few keystrokes from someone halfway around the world? Now, this isn't some hypothetical plot from a sci-fi movie. It is happening right now, and the targets? They're the very lifelines we all depend on.
Just take a look at what happened in February 2024. Telecom giant Comcast had to reveal that a massive data breach had compromised the personal info of nearly 250,000 of its customers.
And right around that same time, American Water, the largest water utility in the United States, got hit by a cyber attack that forced it to shut down its billing and other services.
And picture this, it's December 2023, right in the thick of a holiday rush, and France's National Postal Service is brought to its knees by a massive cyber attack. We're talking mail, parcels, even banking services, all crippled.
So you see, these aren't just isolated tech glitches. They're not random acts of digital vandalism. No, these are calculated strikes in a growing cyber war against our critical infrastructure. These attacks show us, in no uncertain terms, that the digital world and the physical world, they're not separate anymore. An attack on one is an attack on both.
Okay, let's break down that Comcast attack, because the really fascinating part here is how they did it. The hackers didn't go after Comcast's own digital fortress. Nope. Instead, they found a weaker link in the chain. They went after a third-party debt collection agency that Comcast uses, a company called FBCS. And by hacking the partner, they got the prize. The super-sensitive data of 230,000 Comcast customers. We're talking names, social security numbers, dates of birth, the whole shebang. This is what we call a supply chain attack, and it just proves you're only as secure as your least secure partner.
Then you've got the American Water incident. We're talking about a utility that serves over 13 million people across 14 states and, get this, supplies water to more than 18 U.S. military bases. Now, thankfully, the company managed to contain the attack before it messed with the water supply itself, but it was a chilling wake-up call. The very systems that purify and deliver our most essential resource were successfully targeted. It just makes you realize these huge industrial networks are now digital battlegrounds.
Now, the attack on La Poste in France, this one shows a totally different kind of strategy. The timing was absolutely not an accident. On December 23, 2023, just as that holiday rush was hitting its absolute peak, they launched a massive distributed denial of service attack, a DDoS attack. Think of it like creating a giant digital traffic jam. They just flooded La Poste servers with so much junk data that no real customers could get through. Postal services, package tracking, even online banking just went down. And why then? Because hackers know that during the holidays, a lot of companies are running on a skeleton crew. Defenses are lower, response times are slower. It was a strategic strike designed for maximum disruption, and a pro-Russian group later claimed they did.
So we've seen the what, but what about the how, right? How are these attacks actually being pulled off? To defend ourselves, we've got to understand the enemy's playbook first. And these aren't just some shadowy figures in hoodies. These are organized, often state-sponsored groups using really sophisticated tools to get what they want, whether that's money or just geopolitical chaos.
One of the most common weapons you'll see is ransomware. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital kidnapping. Hackers break into a network, they lock up all the important files with super powerful encryption, and then they demand a ransom payment to unlock them. It's a brutal but really effective tactic. In a recent attack, Romania's National Water Agency got hit, and it crippled over 1,000 systems responsible for monitoring drinking water in dams. And the attackers used BitLocker, a tool that's actually designed for security, as their weapon. The irony, right?
And the cost? Oh man, it's just staggering. When Southern Water, a major utility in the UK, got hit with a ransomware attack, the financial damage was over £4.5 million. But that wasn't even all of it. They also stole the personal data of 470,000 customers. So it's this double threat. They're holding your operations hostage while also stealing your customers' most sensitive info. It is a devastating 1-2 punch.
But it's not always about the money. Sometimes it's much more terrifying. This brings us to this really chilling event in Oldsmar, Florida back in 2021. A hacker got into the systems of a local water treatment plant. They gained remote access and tried to increase the levels of sodium hydroxide, which is basically lye, in the water supply by more than 100 times the safe amount. This would have poisoned the water for 15,000 people.
The only thing that stopped a public health catastrophe was a single eagle-eyed plant operator who saw the change on his screen and immediately reversed it. A vigilant human was the last line of defense.
And this is where we have to understand a really critical difference, the difference between IT and OT. Now, IT, information technology, that's the world of data we're all familiar with. Emails, billing systems, websites. But OT, operational technology, that's the stuff that controls the physical world. The pumps, the valves, the chemical dosing systems in a water plant. Hacking IT gets you data. Hacking OT lets you open a valve, shut down a power grid, or, like we saw in Florida, poison a town's water supply. That's the difference between stealing information and causing real physical harm.
Okay, so the threat is real, it's growing, and yeah, it's scary. But we are not defenseless here. In response to this new frontline, government agencies are mobilizing, creating new strategies and programs to protect our nation's most vital systems. And this isn't just about reacting to attacks. It's about building a proactive, collaborative defense.
Leading the charge is CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Their approach is simple: be proactive, not reactive. Their Shields Up program is basically a call to action, giving organizations the tools and intel to strengthen their defenses before an attack happens. And that's complemented by Shields Ready, which is all about building a culture of being perpetually prepared. CISA knows the government can't do this alone. Their entire strategy is built on this foundation of partnership between the public and private sectors.
But the challenge is just immense. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, is responsible for overseeing the safety of our water systems, and what they've found is deeply concerning. In federal inspections they did in 2024, a staggering 70% of water utilities were found to be in violation of basic cybersecurity standards. We're talking about fundamental stuff, like forgetting to change default passwords or not having a process for when an employee leaves. This just highlights this massive gap between the threat we know is out there and how ready we actually are.
So why is that number so high? Well, regulators are facing what you could call a perfect storm. A lot of our water infrastructure is old, with these legacy systems that were never ever designed to be connected to the internet. The sector is also incredibly fragmented. There are over 150,000 different public water systems in the U.S. alone. Many are small, rural utilities that are operating with tiny budgets and little to no in-house cybersecurity expertise. So they're trying to defend against sophisticated state-sponsored attackers with outdated tools and a shoestring budget.
Acknowledging the problem is the first step, right? So now let's talk about the solution. Cybersecurity can seem overwhelmingly complex, but it really doesn't have to be. Experts all agree that a strong defense is built on a foundation of clear, tangible, and achievable strategies. It's about getting the fundamentals right and doing them consistently.
So, how do you defend against a threat this complex? Well, experts agree it comes down to 4 fundamental pillars. Think of it as a 4-legged stool for your security. You need to segment your network, you need to constantly update your systems, you've got to train your people, and you have to invest in modern threat detection. None of these are magic bullets on their own, but together, they form the bedrock of a truly resilient operation. Let's dig into each one.
Let's start with network segmentation. And there is a great analogy for this. Think of your network like a ship. A smart ship designer builds watertight bulkheads, or compartments. So if the hull gets breached in one spot, the door is sealed, the water's contained, and the ship stays afloat. Network segmentation does the exact same thing for a cyber attack. You isolate your most critical systems, like that OT network that controls the water pumps, from your less critical IT systems, like billing and email. That way, if a hacker gets into your email through a phishing attack, the segmentation acts like a digital bulkhead, stopping them from moving over to take control of your core operation.
Beyond segmentation, there are the absolute non-negotiable basics, what experts call security hygiene. This isn't complex stuff. It's the digital equivalent of washing your hands. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, just means a password alone isn't enough. You need a second proof of identity, like a code from your phone. Strong password policies mean no more using password 123. And role-based access control, that just means employees only get access to the systems they absolutely need to do their jobs, and nothing more. And finally, having a tested incident response plan is so crucial, because when an attack happens, and it probably will, you can't be figuring out your game plan on the fly.
So who's responsible for putting all this stuff in place? The easy answer is to say the utility company. But the real answer is, well, it's everyone. Securing our critical infrastructure is a shared responsibility that goes from federal agencies all the way down to every single employee and even the vendors who supply the technology. This can't just be an IT issue. It has to be an organizational culture issue. Cybersecurity needs to be woven into every part of the operation, from engineering and HR to policy and training. Just like workers in a plant wear hard hats for physical safety, every employee needs to practice good cyber hygiene for digital safety. It needs to become second nature, a core value that's promoted from the executive suite all the way to the control room floor.
Look, we've built this incredible modern world that runs on an invisible network of data and control systems. It gives us clean water, reliable power, instant communication. It's brought us unbelievable efficiency and progress. But that very same connectivity has also created a new, profound vulnerability. The services we totally take for granted are now targets. So the ultimate question here isn't just about technology or policy. It's about our collective will and our readiness. Our world is more connected than it has ever been, but are we truly prepared to defend it? Subscribe to this channel, like and share this video with someone you deeply care about to have a foolproof cyber defense.